Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
And welcome back, everybody. It's been said that whatever you want in life, abundance, perfect person, car, house, whatever, you can have it. You need to manifest it. You need to believe that you deserve it and it's coming your way. But then there's also that part of you that needs to trust the process, i.e., have faith that this whole thing is going to work. We're going to talk with somebody about that today who coaches people on this. She's a law of assumption coach and i.e. manifestation. And she's back with us. Sue Carabello joins us.
Hi.
How's it going?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm manifesting my voice coming back. I'm working on that now.
Yes.
Yeah, it's going to happen. This whole faith thing, it's huge, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's one of the biggest pillars of any manifestation that you're looking to achieve. You have to have faith, not only in yourself, but faith in your higher power, higher self, God, universe, whatever source you choose to believe in. You have to have faith in yourself and faith in the unseen. Yeah.
When you say higher power, it's interesting because that term came up earlier today for me.
Okay.
And I tried to describe it, but is it your higher power or a higher power around you?
Well, it's realizing that, yes, you have your higher self who's, directly connected to source, right? You have to have faith in your higher self, that they are really guiding you on your path, right? That's your intuitive voice, right? So you have to have faith in that over the fear and recognize that that higher source is connected to the unseen. It's connected to the universe. It's connected to God. It's connected to divine source, whatever you want to believe in. But we all have that higher self is our intuition, right? It's that intuitive voice within us that guides us. It's the difference. It's helping us make those choices. But a lot of times it's hard to decipher between that intuitive voice and your fear. And I think we've spoken about this before. You are always believing in something. You can believe in the intuitive voice or you can believe in the fear. You pick a side.
Here, we always talk in songs. Poison, give me something to believe in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, prepare. We are jumping down a rabbit hole. You ready?
Yes.
Okay. Intuition, it's my belief that we all have it.
We do.
It's a wonderful power, if you will, that it's within us.
Yes.
I don't personally look at it as our higher self.
Okay. That's fine.
But I'm figuring this out along the way as well.
Sure.
But the intuition, we wouldn't be here if we didn't have intuition.
Right.
Back in cave person time, it protected us.
Yes.
So I believe that we need to have, for all of this to work, spirituality. And that can be whatever you want it to be.
Exactly.
Belief in a God, belief in a universe, but belief in something that's bigger than what you are.
1,000%.
Okay.
So, yes.
But I disconnect the intuition from that. I think the intuition is in you, and it's this, and we have different degrees of intuition, all of us. Or we're some of us more in tune to it than others. That's that. Then there's this thing out here, your higher being, power, spiritualism, whatever. To me, it's two separate things. It seems like you're connecting them. Is that what you believe?
We are. So the way I see it, and I'll try to give a visual. So we have fear, we have intuition. Now our higher self is always with us, right? They are guiding us. And we have that connection to source with our higher self, right? So if we can believe in our authentic self, we are trusting our higher selves to guide us. But a lot of times we, as people, not just myself, everyone, we choose fear, right? Because we're looking through our eyes to see whether or not something is good for us versus trusting that inner knowing, right? That inner knowing, that intuition, your higher self, whatever you want to give the name to, is really the one that's is directly connected to source. If we can trust that and that connection to source, God, universe, whatever you want to call it, we really have a clear path to what our path is supposed to be. But many times we pick up the interpretations and the expectations of others over here in the fear bucket, right? So we have the fear bucket and we have the intuitive knowing bucket. And many times our intuitive knowing is clouded by fear because of past experiences, expectations, etc. So it's hard to connect with that intuitive voice. Now we can, when you're on a spiritual awakening journey, as some of us are, that's when you start to decipher between the fear and the intuitive knowing, right? When you start to trust this more than this, that's when the shift happens. But can you trust that intuitive knowing, that higher self within us? And the only way to do that is to actually feel within your heart space, right? You have to feel it in here, connect in here each and every day through meditation, through walking, through movement, just quieting your mind, even journaling, painting, something to get out of the head and into your heart space. And once you get into here, you have a direct connection to that higher being within yourself that is directly connected to source. And again, the divine is always guiding you. You never have to worry. Like when you step into that space of your intuitive knowing, you don't have to question, what source or God, universe has for you. You just trust. But that's where the faith comes in. Can you let go of the fear and the expectations and the worries, the doubts, the frustrations, the angers, all of it, and really embrace that part of ourselves, that intuitive side, that wisdom seeker, right? And trust that instead. And many times we are taught to believe with our eyes and not what we feel.
Totally got it. Would you say that you've moved past the fear?
99%. Like there's still, there's days where I question and doubt myself and, is this the path I'm supposed to be on? Did I say the right thing? Did I make the right move? Right. But, I've gotten to the point now where I can recognize that the voice is just fear. It's stepping into the unknown, and the unknown is scary, right? We all want a blueprint for our life. I I don't have anything to show you as an example, but imagine, here's the blueprint of your life. You open it up, right? And it's got everything laid out for you. Life's not like that. Like we get to create the blueprint. So what happens is we use our eyes to create the blueprint. But many times in doing that, we are seeking from other sources, maybe tapping into um, other avenues to get that information versus going within and trusting ourselves, right? So we now have this blueprint in front of us, and it's like, oh, I have all these great things that I want to do in my life, X, Y, and Z, right? And you're check, check, check. And you put the blueprint away. Can you trust the blueprint of what your higher self, God, source, whatever is telling you? Or are you going to trust the fear, the expectations, the experiences over what you know in your heart, right? And it's letting go of that and trusting the blueprint over here that this is going to be successful for you. The unfortunate part, and it's not unfortunate, that's where the magic happens, right? It's not unfortunate, it's scary. And that's the unfortunate part, is that it's scary. You don't know the landscape. You are really going on faith. You're going on trust. You are going on that inner knowing that everything's going to work out. You don't know how, but you just know that it will and that it is. And you kind of have to throw the blueprint over here that you've drawn out for your life and say, okay, I am really going to just have faith and trust. And that's when you have to step in and just go all in and trust that your higher self, God, the universe, is really taking care of it all, and that you do not need to do anything except have faith, believe in what is meant for you.
It sounds so simple.
I know,
Mm.
it does. It seems like a simple task. A lot of what I do and what I teach people is that yes, that is the goal, right? Like we want to get to that end state where we have that faith. But the only way to get there is to really start to let go of the fear. You have to, and it's not saying that it's gone forever, but instead, you're not letting the fear drive the bus of your life anymore. You're going to have more faith in what is meant for you versus the fear over here.
And isn't the fear in us to essentially protect us? That's
Mhm.
why it's there.
Yeah. Yes. Like the fear, our ego, right, has one job to keep us alive. That's it. Right. Back in like times around like the caveman, right? Like its only job was to survive against, beaten, attacked by an animal, right? That's our survival mechanism. So even as we've evolved into the people that we are today, we still have that fight or flight mechanism within all of us. And it's knowing that even though we have that fight or flight mechanism, we have a choice. Are we going to let the fear drive the bus of our life, or are we really going to step into that uncomfortable and step into that state of the unknown? Because the magic happens when you step into the unknown, and that's when you have faith. And that's when you get blessed with everything that you desire in your life, right? Because you are stepping now not into what you're, yes, you are creating it, but you're stepping into what your higher self, God, the universe has intended for you. You're trusting the higher version of yourself more than you're trusting the fear, and the human side of us.
Isn't it interesting? Like we talk about, caveman times and all of that.
Mhm.
It's fear, but your intuition that got you where you are.
Yes.
Because if you didn't have intuition, you just had fear, all you'd be doing is running.
Well, and yeah, you'd be running, you'd be fighting, you'd be fighting to survive, right? It's that fight or flight mechanism. It's kind of like when you're out on the road and you're driving really fast, and all of a sudden everyone starts to brake, right? What happens? You grip the wheel tight, your heart races, and you put your foot on the brake, right? It stopped, right? That's the fight or flight mechanism in us. But can we, take the wheel and realize that we are always being divinely guided? And maybe you took an exit, before the accident happened where you needed to pump the brakes because you thought that today was I needed to take this road today. And you don't know why, you just did it, but it saved you from getting into a car accident or, being behind an accident and being late to work, right? It's trusting that, as weird as it may sound and unconventional, it's like, I don't know, I just got a nudge to go here today, right? That's intuition. You follow that, that's really trusting that source, the universe, God, whatever you believe in, is guiding you.
Can you take us through your journey of building faith?
Yeah. So I have been on this spiritual awakening journey for probably 7 years now. And before that, I was probably a very different person, very anxiety ridden. I lived very much in my ego. I was scared of everything. Like I would, go back and check to make sure the doors were locked 3 or 4 times before I'd actually get in the car to go drive somewhere. That was, the height of my anxiety. And I was living very much in a fearful state, like very much trying to control absolutely everything around me. And I didn't know why. I just did. And it wasn't a good place. I never slept well. I was on blood pressure medicine for high blood pressure. I was just always on the go, go, go. Everything was always like go, go, go. I never could like sit down and relax. And I was stuck in my ego. Like I had to do more. I always had to do more. And then over the course of 7 years, I had to slowly step back and start realizing that, like, well, this is not serving me. Like, what am I doing? And really had to question everything that I was doing and the reasons why I was doing it. And the more I started to peel back the layers of the onion of my life, and it's not an onion, it's a beautiful gift. But I realized I was really living more from my ego. I was living in a constant state of fear. And until I uncovered all the stories that I had as to why I was doing what I was doing, could I actually step back and really try, excuse me, um, hold on one second, sorry.
You do that, I'll do this. It's like,
Um,
there we go.
excuse
All right.
it really gave me an opportunity to really inspect how I was behaving in everything. I think we spoke about this last week. You know, I was not the easiest to get along with, right? Because a lot of times I was living up here. I was not living from my heart. And it was, you know, more about like I had to just, I had to just survive, right? Like that was my go, go, go. We got to do this. We got to take care of this. Like it was always like that was my energy was always on the go. And I remember people always telling me, it's like, your energy is always go, 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 go. I'm like, but I don't want it to always be go, go, go. I just want it to be peaceful. But I recognized in me, I was living very much in my ego. And the more I pulled back the layers of the onion, could I see the stories that I was telling myself and the expectations that I was setting for myself were not that they weren't reasonable, but they were not necessary. Like, could I just be happy with what is versus what I expect my life to be? Can I just be happy in this present moment? And the more I connected with the present moment, and stopped worrying about the past or the future and stopped telling myself these stories that I'm not good enough, that I'm not worthy enough, that I'm not smart enough, that I'm not X, Y, and Z, that I have to look a certain way, that I have to act a certain way. And the more I let go of that, I let go of the expectations that were tied to that. I began to step into more faith, right? And now I can see it as time went on that this was just a story that I kept telling myself. The fear that I was holding onto so tightly and gripping onto so tightly was just a story that I was telling myself that I wasn't good enough. Period. That's like the bottom line. The story was I was not good enough. So I did more to prove myself as a result of me holding on to this story that I wasn't good enough. And once I let go of that story, could I just start to peel back the layers of the onion and see what I had created and let go of the stress, the anxiety, the fear, the judgments, the worries, the doubts, the anxieties about me not being enough? Could I have more faith? Because this voice started to get louder when I let go of the fear that I wasn't enough.
I can totally relate to your story. I really can. And I was thinking it and you said it,
Yeah.
living in the moment. And that now when I realized that, that was my game changer.
Yeah.
And
And
it's not easy.
it's not easy. It takes time, right?
Yeah,
Because as we go along this journey of life, right? Some people come to a point where they're having a spiritual awakening, right? Where you're questioning, like, what is going on within me that I am treating myself so disrespectfully, I think is the word, right? So I was constantly reactive. And why was I reactive? Because I was telling myself how awful I was. And that was a cue to stop telling myself that story. Stop telling yourself that story. Stop. No, this is, you know, this is just who I am. Right. And it was always like, I gotta go. I gotta go here. I gotta go there. I gotta be this, that, and the other thing. It was always like, gosh, like Linus from the Charlie Brown story, like the Charlie Brown. Linus was always like this. Was it
yeah.
Linus or Pigpen?
Well,
It was,
Pigpen with the was like dust and everything flying around.
yeah, it definitely, it was just like a tornado, right?
Yeah,
That was me. That was my energy.
Tasmanian
Like,
devil. Tasmanian devil.
yes, it was the same thing. It was this whoo, whoo, whoo. There's Susan, right? But that was just who I was. And it was because I had been telling myself this story for so long that I was just not good enough until I finally, you know, God tapped me on the shoulder to wake me up and say, you are good enough. You are good enough for everything that you crave to have in this lifetime. Can you let go of the story that you're not good enough? And it took a long time to get here, but you know, in the past 6 months was probably the biggest pivotal change in that, where I stopped telling myself that story, and this story started to get quieter and quieter and quieter because now I started showing up as who I was meant to be. And we all have that power, but can you let go of this fear, the ego, which is all it is. It's the ego story, your ego identification, your false sense of self that is really gripping the steering wheel of your life, that is telling you that maybe you're not good enough. I'm not worthy enough. I get rejected at things. I'm not smart enough, right? Whatever those stories are. But can you let go and really step and have faith? Because once you do and you tap into that connection with source, this quiets down significantly. And then all of a sudden it's like you can hear better. You can hear the message better. Right. And then you're not doubting the message because now you don't have this over here being like, "Woo," being all loud in the back. Like it's static, right? It's that static noise in the background. Once that static stops, you can hear the message. You can hear that message that, maybe you should get off at this exit here. Maybe you should go to this store. Maybe you should go out to this restaurant, right? Like
But
that's the difference.
it's a different message when you figured it out. It seems so genuine and clear,
Yeah.
whereby this message over here, the one
Yes.
that it's not right, but you just keep feeding into it. Same thing with perfectionism.
Yes.
I used to walk around and
Exactly.
say, since I was a kid, I'm a perfectionist. Well, it sounds great. Makes you sound like you're, but
Right.
all it is a cover up.
Exactly. Well, it's that fear, right? We're holding on
Right.
to a story that at some point maybe we did behave in a manner that was aligning us with being a perfectionist. But can you let go of that story, which is all fear based, right? And really trust the unknown and the unseen, because what God has for you is greater than what you could ever imagine. But you have to let go of that story, of that anxiety, of that fear, of all the judgments against ourselves, right? And once you start to let go of the fear, not only can you heal the relationships with the people around you, you can really step into your truest and authentic self. And like what a gift to the world that is if you can get to that point. And that's why I'm so passionate about, the message that I share now is because I've been there. I know what it's like to have those fearful thoughts, to wake up in the morning and be like, all right, I gotta go here, I gotta go here, I gotta get this done. And you have your checklist and your post-it notes everywhere. And it's like, can we just stop and take a breather and let go? Like, so what if I don't get it done? Right? That's one thing that um how can I explain it? It's it's really trusting, right? Like, can you let go and be like, I'm okay if I don't get it all done.
Or you feel like you failed.
That's it, right? It's that fear
Yeah.
of failure. Like if you don't, I didn't finish all the tasks on the checklist. Well, that's okay. We can do the checklist tomorrow. No big deal, right? It's a different energy. But if you are like, oh my God, I'm crushed under like the plethora of checklists or post-it notes that I need to you go through. Can you be like, okay, if I get one of the things on the post-it notes done and leave the rest for tomorrow, I'm okay. Like my house, for example, my house always had to be tip top. Everything had its place. And if it wasn't clean, I would go into a complete panic, right? And I would stay up late to clean the house, make the beds, do the laundry, right? Like these were my triggers. And then I realized that like it's okay if my house is not clean every day. It's clean, but it doesn't not everything needs to be put away. It's okay if it stays there until the morning. I can go upstairs and go to bed and take a nice restful sleep and put that, the mail to the side and take care of it in the morning. I don't have to do it right now. But a lot of it's giving ourselves permission to do it. Um, it's
What would
letting
you
go.
say in like a minute left? What
Yeah.
would you say is the number one way to gain that faith and trust in yourself?
It's creating habits that support that. It's creating habits that support that faith in ourselves. If we are constantly waking up, and it's embodiment too, right? So it's healthy habits and embodiment. Those are the two key factors that we need to remember in each and every moment. Can you wake up in the morning with healthy habits that are going to support who you are right now and support that faith in who you are becoming? So I'm going to use the gym as an example. Let's say you're striving to have a healthy body, right? But right now, your habits don't support that, right? And you don't have faith in the process that this is going to work for you. What are you going to do? Well, you're going to wake up in the morning. You're going to have a talk with yourself in the mirror and have that conversation with you. You're going to look at yourself in the eye and say, I can do it. I'm going to do this today, and this is how I'm going to get there. Then you're going to go downstairs. You're going to journal out whatever negative feelings you have about myself, the process, whatever. And then you're going to step into those healthy habits. What is one healthy habit? I'm going to go for a walk every morning, right? I'm going to take that walk every morning, or I'm going to go to the gym, right? And I'm going to go there, even though I feel uncomfortable doing it, I'm going to show up for myself, right? Because the more you show up for yourself, you're starting to prove to yourself that I can do this, that I have faith that this is going to happen. And regardless of how long it takes you to get there, right? Some people can do it in 6 months, some people can do it in 2 years. You're still going to show up regardless of what happens, right? Because the more you step into that place of trust and confidence in yourself, that's when the change happens. Most of us will give up after the first 3 weeks because I don't see the results. It's not working for me. But again, if it's telling you, and I hate to point my fingers at the camera, if you are stepping into that state of this is not working for me, that's not your higher self. That is your ego talking. The ego wants the quick fix. It wants the dopamine hit. I achieved the goal. What's the next best thing now? I achieved, lifting 50 pounds with a barbell. Great. So what's my next goal? 60 pounds, right? So it's the ego wants to always, what's next? What's next, right? It's foraging and looking for something new instead of just having faith and trusting that the process is working. It always is, but you have to let go of the fear and the ego and just step into faith and embody that state of being of the person who already has what they desire. That's the end. That's the Barbados as we spoke to a few weeks ago.
It's telling yourself a new story. It's really
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
And sticking to it and believing and having faith in it. Having faith and trusting that God, source, the universe wants to give you whatever is on your heart. If you want that perfect body, they're going to show you the way, but you have to let go of your ego telling you that it's not going to work, right? Maybe it failed in the past, but can you step into this point of faith and trust over here and allow it to happen? That's the magic.
I want to tell you, thank you for being so transparent
Thank you.
because the you described is not the you I would ever imagine today.
Thank you. Yeah, no,
It's
I did for a long time. I did not think I was good enough. And for many of my own reasons that I told myself for many years. And that was a hard one to overcome.
yeah.
And it's, I had to have faith in my higher self kept telling me, you are good enough. Can you stop telling yourself that story? But I'm used to the story, right? I
Well,
was used to,
the story goes back to your childhood, I'm sure, as it
yeah,
does for many of us.
yeah.
Pieces of it along the way.
Well, what it takes one event, it takes one event,
Right.
right? And I hate to use the word trauma. It takes one event
Ah,
to just put a dart in the energy field. And once that dart is in the energy field, right, our aura, our chakras, once the dart's there, if we don't pull the dart out and say, no, this is not me, that dart starts to grow a tree,
yeah.
right? And the tree starts to grow branches. So suddenly you could have had an event where, you didn't feel like you were good enough in like sixth grade. And suddenly you're 49 and you're still not feeling like you're good enough. And then it's like, well, why do I feel like this? Oh, well, this happened and you never changed the story, right? Everything's energy, it just grew.
And along the way, to water the tree, the dart,
Yep.
is you're finding other things to back it up, which really
Exactly.
aren't true.
Ex-
You
but that's what happens, right?
right.
That's the ego then is looking for that dart to protect ourselves. Oh, we can't go there because you were made fun of in gym class when you were in seventh grade. It's like, so I'm not going to go to the gym now. and literally something like that could happen. And then imagine like you're trying to go to the gym and you're trying to better yourself, but in the back of your mind, right, you have this story just waving in the background, waiting for you to be embarrassed at the gym or like whatever the story is, right? So you immediately you go in like
It's so true. It really
your
is.
shoulders are up by your ears instead of
Yeah.
just walking in because God sent you there because God has a plan for you. You're like, well, no, I don't go to the gym because I get made fun of or I don't know what I'm doing, right? So but again, it's all the story, right? And that story could happen 30 years ago. But if we don't pull out the weed, we can't replace it with a seed that is supposed to be there. And that's where the faith comes in. Can you let go of this fear over here and step into that faith, because your higher self, God, the universe, source, whatever you believe in, has everything already planned out for you. You just have to trust in the unseen over everything.
Time for new stories. How do we connect with you?
So you can reach me at www.suecarabello.com or on Instagram at the @ Susan Carabello _ or my email, which is susan@suecarabello.com.
Thank you for making all of this clear today. And especially again, your transparency, because I feel we learn a lot from other stories.
Yeah.
And
thank you. I appreciate
learned
that.
a lot. Yeah.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Enjoy your day. Feel better.
Thank you. We'll be right back.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
Mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.